Greetings, historians, and welcome back to House of Ideas Historian. Now, I gotta let you guys know, I am biased. I fully and freely admit that I have a bias when it comes to Marvel movies. I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe over any and all Marvel movie that's been made before, whether that came out of Sony or New Line Cinema or Fox. It's just where I am, it's what I like. I love the MCU. That being said, I fully and freely admit that the other companies that are making Marvel movies, that have made Marvel movies in the past, are just as important to the greater story that is Marvel. The MCU isn't the only company that makes Marvel movies, and in some ways isn't even the most important. Okay, maybe it kind of is, but there are some great things in the past. As you will and fully know what I'm about to be talking about because you read the title of this video, is X-Men. Came out in 2000. That is 20 years ago. In fact, as I am filming this right now, is July 14th. So it is exactly 20 years since the X-Men movie came out. So, in honor of the X-Men movies and in honor of what that came and what that brought to us, I'm going to give us a little bit of an overview of some of the significance behind the X-Men movie that came out in 20 years ago. So let's start with something that may be well known to some. The 90s almost killed the comic industry. Marvel, unfortunately, was no exception to this fact. Marvel's predicament was so poor that they had to sell their movie rights to almost all their characters just to pay the bills and avoid bankruptcy. Luckily, this worked out. We are still able to read Marvel comics to this day. The rights, the X-Men properties, and the Fantastic Four properties were sold to 20th Century Fox. Now, at this time, Marvel Studios were not self-producing movies. So Fox had Marvel's full support in the creation of this film. Marvel has always pushed for a movie franchise. Their major rival, being DC, already had huge hits, that of Batman and Superman. And frankly, Marvel was behind when it came to movies. With the success of New Line Cinema's Blade, Marvel was ready for another win. X-Men was a huge success that spawned an entire movie franchise. It wouldn't be until much later that this actually became a sore spot for Marvel, but that is going to be a story for a different day because I really want to focus on just this one movie, X-Men. X-Men was a wild success. A huge reason to this was the standout cast that was brought in to portray the mutants. I mean, we're talking Halle Berry as Storm, Patrick Stewart as Xavier, Ian McKellen as the antagonist of Magneto. The surprise casting, however, was none other than Hugh Jackman, the main protagonist of the film, Wolverine. Now, if you're thinking right now, man, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. That dude's been in everything. He is so popular. I've seen him in all my favorite movies. That all may be true, but we didn't see him in any Hollywood movies before this point. In fact, X-Men could have looked incredibly different if it wasn't for just one thing. Fox had offered the role to Russell Crowe. Right before filming, and we're talking weeks before filming, Russell Crowe turned down the role, but suggested that you give it to his Australian friend, Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman was huge in musical theater, but has never made a Hollywood movie before this point. And oh my gosh, what a job he did. This was his first Hollywood role. And this role spawned a career. Hugh Jackman went on to star as Wolverine in 9 movies over 8 years, landing him the Guinness Book of World Records record of the longest running portrayal of a live-action Marvel character. The movie had an impact on the world within the comics as well. Ultimate X-Men took heavy inspiration for the films. The team in Earth 1610 more closely resembles that of the X-Men movies than it does the 616 universe. The creative team that was working on Ultimate X-Men had never read an X-Men book, but they had seen the movie, so they based the Ultimate X-Men line solely off the movie's influence. Another major theme that was pulled because of the movies was that of Cerebro. Before the movie, Cerebro looked drastically different than it does today. In the movie, Cerebro is an entire spherical room. Before this point, it looked nothing like this in comics. However, immediately after the movie came out, the X-Men books started to adapt this new Cerebro. Originally, the movie was to be released on Christmas of 2000. However, there was a change in Fox's movie schedules, and a new release date had to be pushed out. So they sped up production to have a release date of July 14th, 2000. There was a special early showing of the film on Ellis Island 2 days early. Honestly, that's pretty cool because if you remember the movie, a large portion of the movie is based on Ellis Island. Grossing over $296.3 million worldwide, it was the 8th largest domestic film of 2000 and the 9th largest film of 2000 total. This movie is hugely important to the world of comics and Marvel in particular. It helped bring the comic industry out of its dark days of the 90s by spurring interest in the genre once again. And, for no other reason, the movie is home to the greatest joke in cinematic history.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
There's so much more that we can talk about when it comes to this movie or the films that spurred after it. But for now, this is where I'm going to cut it. Keep an eye out. I should be receiving my Marvel Funko box with the X-Men theme later on this month, so I'm going to be doing another unboxing of that, and I'm super excited. For now, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below, do you like the X-Men movie from 2000? We're talking 20 years later, so give it a rewatch, and let me know what you think. Is there anything that you want to know more about X-Men or about Marvel? Let me know. Hit me up on my socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. Do me one last favor, like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe for all future content. Excelsior, true believers. Till next time.